Hi, it's Anna here. Thanks for tuning in. So far on this channel, I've spent a lot of time, emphasizing the fact that this path is difficult and it requires a lot of determination and resilience, and that it's a maturation process and all of that. In order to bring some balance today, I actually want to inject some warmth and some hope by focusing on why we're even doing this, why it matters, and to give you some fuel, I guess, so that if you are currently at a stage where it's quite difficult, to give you some strength to keep going. The focus of this video is the phrase, "The kingdom of heaven is within you." And this sentence comes from the Bible. It's a phrase that Jesus spoke. And it's the kingdom of heaven, the kingdom of God, it's the same thing. And so what I want to focus on today is to explain the esoteric side of things, because as it turns out, this sentence has a very literal meaning. And I've mentioned before that this path of awakening, this path of ascension, is very much a path of alchemicalization or transformation within. It is something that is felt within. The shifts are felt within. So this is where we need to understand the divine design and of creation and of the human being. And there is this esoteric sentence that's quite famous that says, "As above, so below." And what that means is that the human body, the human being, is a microcosm of the macrocosm. It's a reflection of the universe. And you can see that proven when you study nature and you compare it to the human body. For example, you can see that our fingerprints look like the markings on a tree trunk, or the veins in the human body look like markings on leaves, that walnuts look like little brains, or that blueberries look like eyeballs. So this is evidenced in nature. And this belief, this understanding, is actually at the core of traditional Chinese medicine and acupuncture. And this is why these methods of healing are just so effective. When you understand that everything is interconnected, we are not just, the 3D realm, the earth, or like humans. Everything is interconnected. And it's also called the law of correspondence, where the spiritual realms are connected to us. They're connected to the earth, they're connected to our body and what's inside of us. So that's why it's really powerful, to connect to nature and observe nature, because the more you observe nature and how things work in nature, the more you can learn about yourself. So this interconnectedness, the cycles and the rhythms that you see in nature apply to us. And so this brings me to the next point, which is, this metaphor of having the angel and the devil on the shoulder. I think we've all heard this metaphor before. And it's actually not a metaphor. It's actually very real. And it's the whole purpose of the earth and the whole purpose of humans being here. Because the earth is a school for souls to evolve. And so the earth is the middle point between heaven above and hell below. And so the human being, then the goal is to purify the impulses that are coming from the angel and the impulses that are coming from the devil, to bring about this state of wholeness and connection within. So this is where I've emphasized the fact that this path of awakening, this path of ascension, is very much goes hand in hand with inner work, which is all about a purification process. Where we purify our mind, we purify our heart, we purify the perceptions, the belief system, the outlook that we have on things, the misunderstandings, and we purify to the point that there is an alignment that happens where our thoughts, our words, and our actions are aligned. Because on earth, actually, it's the place where your inner self and your outer self are allowed to be disconnected. So this is where we have, the extreme example of the hypocrite, right? Who's saying one thing, but actually feeling something else, or someone who's, giving a lecture on morality, but then on the other side, cheats on their partner. In the spiritual realm, this can't happen. In the spiritual realm, who you are outwardly is who you are inwardly. It's one thing. So the separation of the two only happens here. And so our job is to do the work to align ourselves. And we can actually choose to align to heaven, or we can actually choose to align to hell. I mean, some people want hell. Some people choose that consciously, believe it or not. That's what my healing from narcissism has taught me, that some people actually want this. But the issue arises for the majority of people who are not really choosing, they're just in ignorance, right? They don't really understand what we're here to do, because we're living at a time on earth where it's just so dense that we've lost a lot of this knowledge, and we're living like it's hard to keep that connection. It's hard to feel that connection, and we also live in a society that's completely inverted and focuses on the material realm rather than understanding this connection with the spiritual realm as well. So this entire path is very much coming back to this, reconnecting spiritually, little by little, day by day, understanding everything that I've spoken about, but actually truly feeling it on the inside. Because it's not enough to to be a good person or do good things because you're following a set of rules that are in your scripture, or because you attend a church, or because you want to be seen as good, or whatever else. It's about actually changing yourself from the inside out, so that you change your state of being, who you are on the inside, so that it's not about being good. It's not about just acting good. You're doing it naturally. You're not just being generous because you want to be seen as generous. You're doing it because you truly want to. You truly feel good about it, without expecting anything in return. It's just who you are, right? So it's very much a process of aligning yourself little by little to heaven. And that happens in your heart. That's what I've realized last year, actually, when I started feeling this in my heart. It actually felt like, the gate of heaven opening in my heart. It actually viscerally felt. I mean that literally. And it's not a state that I have anchored full time, but it's something that I feel quite often, where it actually feels to me, that's how I explain it, at least. It feels like a gate opening, and then my whole body gets flooded with love and joy, and just, it's actually indescribable, this feeling. I can't do it justice, but I just want to explain that you will know when that happens, because you can't miss it. And so this is what other people have spoken about when they talk about inner union with God, Hieros Gamos. But in my opinion, navigating this journey, I think a lot of people are talking about it from an intellectual understanding. And they haven't actually activated this yet, because otherwise they would tell you. They would say it. I was following people for a long time that never really explained this to me. Inner union is not just a state of balance or even just peace. It's so much deeper than that. It's the gate of heaven. I don't know how to explain this. That's why that phrase, the kingdom of heaven is within you, is so powerful, because it's literally that. And so I also feel that to get to that, there are different things that need to happen, and it's a process. And you need to know where you're at on the journey, and be aware of like the stage that you're at, right? Because you can't, nothing can be forced. I've mentioned that before. Just like, for example, I'm talking about the angel and the devil and aligning with heaven and hell. I know some people are going to be not comfortable with this. And that's why some other people talk about, negative emotion, negative thoughts, or positive emotions and positive thoughts, because they're not comfortable with talking about angels and devils. But I'm just saying that the further you go on the journey, the further you realize that what I'm actually speaking about on this in this video is a lot more accurate than just talking about positive and negative emotions. But we need to you can use what I'm saying and apply in your life in whatever language is easier for you to digest. It needs to be like an organic unfoldment. I'm not forcing anything onto anyone. Just like the same with understanding that this inner union is also with God, with acknowledging Christ, all of that stuff. It can't be forced. It's something that as you evolve and as you purify and as you progress on the journey, as long as you are devoted to divine truth, and as long as you understand your place in the world and in the divine hierarchy, understanding that you are not the top, right? Then the understanding comes. So I'm presenting this today not to force anything, but it's still very accurate what I'm saying. I hope that makes sense. So in the Bible, actually, there are a few parables from Jesus that speak to this feeling that I'm talking about that are absolutely beautiful. So I want to say them today. So the first one is called the parable of the pearl of great price by, that's Matthew 13:45-46. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like a merchant in search of fine pearls, who, on finding one pearl of great value, went and sold all that he had and bought it. And the other one is called the parable of the hidden treasure, and it's Matthew 13:44. The kingdom of heaven is like treasure hidden in a field. When a man found it, he hid it again, and then in his joy went and sold all he had and bought that field. And I think these parables are just so beautiful, and they so poetically explain this indescribable feeling and treasure that the kingdom of heaven actually feels like inside of you, this feeling of wholeness, and that it's priceless. And that's when you realize that this focus that society has on materialism, even to the point where materialism has been brought into spirituality with the new age spirituality these days, of focusing on manifesting millions and all that stuff. Like when you're aligned to the true path, that's not the mindset, that's not the focus. But all that stuff happens naturally, if that makes sense. So you're not trying to force things or like trying to create things all on your own. You align yourself. That's the focus, right? You align yourself. You do the work to align, to feel this. And then naturally your life is going to be a reflection of who you are on the inside. Because what I've mentioned before when I said like in the spiritual realm, you are outwardly who you are on the inside, right? And in the spiritual realm, there's this concept of resonance where you go to the community where you resonate. An angel cannot be next to a demon, for example. So what we are doing with this connection is we're actually bringing these concepts, the kingdom of heaven here. And that's the beauty of this path, right? It's not that we're just waiting to die, to go to heaven. How boring is that? We are actually so lucky, and that's when we need to start looking at this path as a privilege and a gift. And I know it's hard to do when you're in the thick of it and in a lot of pain. but it's just a mindset and a knowing that we have to come back to regularly to help us. Understanding that it's such a privilege and a gift because we get to bring it here to impact our life, to impact our kids, to liberate ourselves, and then to influence others around us through our frequency and through our example. And that's basically all we can really influence, right? Like, there's just so much happening in the world that we have no influence or control over. But this we can affect. And we're not doing it on our own. I've mentioned that many times on this channel. It's very much a co-creative process with your higher self, God. But your active participation is required. And so that's what I mean when I say it's not just about being good for the sake of being good, or because you have a certain belief system, or because you think that you're saved because you believe in or you're part of a religious movement. It's not that. This is looking at it way too superficially. It needs to be an activation and a purification of who you are on the inside. Another thing that I wanted to mention about this law of correspondence and this microcosm, the human being a microcosm of the macrocosm. Another thing that I also realized is that, when we speak about, this path for a lot of us being a path of breaking generational curses, actually breaking demonic stronghold in our bloodline, which has been very much part of my path, and I've mentioned that in other videos. I think the one that I speak about on the dark feminine, with what happened with my dad. But to cut a long story short, what I've realized is that this process is actually purifying your blood, in the sense that you are closing the gates, closing the access points inside of you, in your blood, in your cells, in everything. And so that's why it takes time, and that's why there are moments on this path where you feel nothing's happening. It's almost like you're in a 6 months hiatus of, I don't know, just nothing happening. But actually there's so much happening in your field, because as you take action, as you shift things around in your external life, this needs to be embodied and processed, and there's actually a lot happening energetically, and so this takes time and it can't be rushed, and we need to give it time, because when you connect through your heart to the kingdom of heaven, you will realize that it takes a lot actually to hold that kind of light, this true light with a capital L. And so your body and your nervous system and your consciousness need to be prepared and ready to hold and accept it. So it's not, I don't view this path as a path of rewards and punishments. It's more that actually this process is also to protect you, because it can't be rushed, because it would actually affect you and your health. So that's also something that I wanted to say. And as you progress on the path, what I've realized as well is that, in the spiritual realms, there are many layers, many levels. And the further you go on the path, the deeper you go into yourself, because of the purification that you're doing. You are actually going deeper into understanding and wisdom. And that's why I quite like the Map of Consciousness by David Hawkins, because I feel like it's quite an accurate concept of knowing that you are getting into higher and higher levels of consciousness, in the sense like you are tapping into higher and higher levels in the spiritual realms that give you access to deeper and deeper levels of understanding and wisdom. And that's why what's really popular on social media at this time on the planet is actually very superficial. And that's what resonates with a lot of people, because a lot of people haven't done the deep inner work to go deeper and deeper. When you are at a deeper level of wisdom and understanding, what's really popular out there on social media is so boring and so inaccurate. You'll be able to feel it, to feel how inaccurate it is. These paradigms of thinking that you're doing everything on your own and it's just you, it's all you, everything's a reflection of you, and you created all this trauma and abuse to for yourself to evolve. It makes no sense. you know like, this purification of the mind has to happen. This stuff makes zero sense if you spend a little bit of time purifying and really thinking about things clearly. This path, the deeper you go within yourself, the deeper you align here in your heart. I just want to make sure that you understand that it's in the heart, actually. Like, literally, physically in the heart. It comes with certain virtues, like justice, being very clear about the fact that there is right and wrong, there is good and evil, having an aversion actually for evil stuff and disgusting behaviors and immorality, being famished for justice actually, and not wanting anyone to suffer for no reason. There's a deep sense of humility also that comes where you understand your place in the world and the fact that there are a lot of things that you can't influence, and being very clear and self-disciplined about where your energy and focus goes to. Really thinking about things. Think about, me being outraged on social media about stuff that I can't control. Is that really adding anything of value? Before I post something on social media, is that, what am I trying to achieve? What am I trying to lead? Where am I trying to lead people to? What am I trying to leave people with? Am I trying to empower them, or am I actually, is this going to be disempowering them? Am I just vomiting whatever I feel like, or am I actually thinking about like things and trying to impart a bit of wisdom, something that's actually useful for people? So these are the things that not enough people are thinking about. It's actually coming back to common sense, really, if you think about it. It's not groundbreaking. It's actually very simple. The more you align, the more you will realize that it's very simple. The problem, though, is that we are swimming in fragmentation of truth. We are swimming with the Dunning-Kruger effect, where the majority of people who are actually very popular haven't gone far at all on their journey and haven't embodied anything. And we are swimming in the age of information, where there's a lot of misinformation from people who really think that they've cracked it and what they're saying is correct. So it's simple, but it's difficult, because what we're after is essence. And that essence cannot be sold in a course. It can't be replicated by anyone. It's a lot more difficult to explain. And that's why the best act of service that I can think about is to actually give you examples and empower you to do this for yourself, to feel these things for yourself, to explain what inner work is about, what building the discernment muscle is about, to explain the different roadblocks on the journey so that we keep questioning ourselves. Because, like the parables explain so poetically and so well in the Bible, this feeling, I want everyone to feel this. It's an amazing feeling. If more people were feeling this, the world would be a much better place. So that's what I want to leave you with today. I hope this is helpful. Just a little bit of light and hope to explain why you're doing this, but also to explain that it's also very much an actual viscerally felt transformation from the inside, so that to help you understand concepts that might feel a bit too elusive. The kingdom of heaven is a literal place inside of ourselves, and it's in our hearts. So I hope this is helpful, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.